Welcome, everyone. Thank you for your continued support. 2 years after my divorce, an unexpected visit from the police left me standing frozen, heart racing, with a dreaded name already echoing in my mind. Sarah, I thought. I thought that chapter was closed, hidden beneath distance, routine, and the life I painstakingly rebuilt. But the officer's somber expressions told me that some tales don't conclude when relationships do. Sometimes the aftermath surfaces later. This is a tale about how the woman who wrecked my past threatened to obliterate my future, and how the truth, uninvited, burst in on an ordinary Tuesday. My divorce was long and grueling, not just emotionally, financially, mentally, but socially as well. Sarah hadn't merely been unfaithful. She had crafted a dual existence for years, projecting one reality at home while secretly nurturing another elsewhere. The individual she presented as a professional guide subsequently caused the downfall. Upon revelation, there was no remorse, merely anger at being uncovered. For 2 years I had been rebuilding. New neighborhood, new job, new rituals tour, learning to inhabit a space devoid of tension in every crevice. At last, peace seemed genuine. So when I opened the door and found detectives there, my initial response was concern, not terror. Old tendencies persist. However, the first question shattered that illusion instantly. They didn't ask about Sarah, they asked about Elias Vance, the one I left for. I informed them I hadn't encountered either of them since the divorce became finalized. The detectives exchanged a glance, a signal that the discussion was going to take a new course. One of them retrieved an evidence bag. Inside lay a gold watch, my watch. The anniversary gift I had given Sarah years ago, which she claimed was lost during our move, was found at a construction site. It was buried with remains believed to be Elias. The discovery didn't stop the world, but it altered its course. Elias had been missing for over a year, yet Sarah persisted in posting online photos, travel updates, and messages suggesting they were still together. This digital life seemed to endure even after his physical disappearance. Since the watch was registered to me, and since it was found under such peculiar circumstances, my status shifted instantly, from ex-husband to suspect. The life I had reconstructed felt precarious once more. What I believed was the ultimate betrayal now appeared as a prelude. Interrogation rooms are designed to induce pressure without resorting to loud voices. The lighting, the quiet, the repetitive questioning were all strategies they employed. They showed me pictures of the damaged watch, with details I recognized but couldn't explain. Detective Miller posed his question cautiously. How did something tied to me wind up buried with a man connected to my marriage's demise? On the surface, the story seemed clear-cut. There was motive, emotion, and a potential opportunity. I recounted the timeline, explained the separation, and detailed the night everything came to an end. I emphasized that quiet departures often leave few traces. Sarah stayed in the house. She had access to all. Over 2 years, she crafted something more perilous than infidelity, a narrative. It was at this moment I realized the scenario I hadn't dared to entertain. If Elias was no longer around and signs pointed to me, then it wasn't mere coincidence, it was strategic placement. The detectives elaborated. Sarah vanished days before the body was found. The house was abandoned, devices were missing, digital activity hinted at planning, someone creating distance. In that moment, I understood that our marital breakdown might not have been a betrayal, but a contrived scenario. If Sarah was still monitoring events, she was awaiting the resolution to determine if her plot succeeded. For the deadliest untruths aren't emotional, they're designed to resist scrutiny. The narrative didn't cease when the police departed my residence. P.S. Should Sarah's scheme materialize, the headline wouldn't announce a missing man. It would declare my arrest. She sought not vengeance but finality, a saga where I lost not only my marriage but my liberty. Yet she underestimated one aspect. I requested Detective Miller to examine the GPS logs from my car's historical data. A seemingly mundane insurance feature I had activated years ago, something Sarah derided as pointless paranoia. A noticeable change crossed his face when he jotted it down. For the first time since the questioning started, there was a glimmer of hope. Because initially dismissed consistency might have unveiled everything. As time elapsed, investigators detected something peculiar. The evidence seemed orchestrated. The watch wasn't hidden but placed in Ilya's jacket pocket, seemingly intended to be found. This revelation altered the investigation's course. Later, Miller resurfaced with fresh data. The online presence that kept Elias alive was traced across the globe via social media posts. Metadata disclosed something discrepant. Regular routing through a VPN account registered under Sarah's maiden name. The facade was starting to crumble. There were no travel records, no flight bookings, no hotel confirmations. The digital persona thrived, but the physical one didn't. I ceased being merely a suspect. I became a character in a fabricated story, and attention shifted towards the underlying truth. The significant breakthrough occurred late that evening. Forensic experts unearthed that, despite employing privacy tools, Sarah made an error. Irregular activities involved using public Wi-Fi at a local library for multiple uploads. Surveillance footage from those times depicted her seated at a secluded terminal, donning a hat, glasses, and a laptop similar to the one later retrieved. That instance altered everything. They didn't merely entertain doubts, they possessed visual proof of her orchestration. The spouse she attempted to implicate inadvertently offered the investigative trail leading back to her. Her detainment took place at a roadside motel, a location typically chosen by individuals aiming to remain unnoticed. She struggled against arrest. Her explanations were inconsistent, blaming me, labeling it an accident, and striving to alter the sequence of events in real time. However, evidence does not debate, it amasses. Within the motel room, investigators discovered notebooks containing practice replicas of my signature. Comprehensive notes about my routines and timelines were also present, detailing how events would unfold once the body was found. It wasn't an impulsive act, it was carefully planned. She hadn't advanced beyond the marriage, Shad, instead shifting her attention and making me her target became her goal. The trial garnered interest, yet I steered clear of it whenever feasible. Closure doesn't necessitate observing every aspect. The only instance I was present was when my presence was mandatory. Seeing her again didn't ignite anger. Instead, it provided more distance. The woman I recalled no longer existed, replaced by one driven by control, strategy, and escalation. The verdict arrived swiftly, guilty, not merely for the crime itself, but for the premeditated act of framing another person. The judge described the level of planning as exceptionally strategic. As she was led away, she made one final effort to capture my attention, a last-ditch attempt to retain influence. But that phase had already concluded. I glanced at the time on a new watch, one I had bought myself, and stepped outside. 2 years after the police first knocked on my door, peace returned to life again. I departed from my former residence, relocated to a less spacious, more impartial dwelling, a place devoid of the resounding reminders of the past. My newfound insights aren't sensational. Reality doesn't always feel triumphant, it merely restores routine life. Sarah transformed into an entry in case records. The watch became a piece of evidence, and the tale that almost shaped my identity evolved into something I endured. Peace isn't forgetting, it's realizing that another person no longer dictates the storyline. Now the only one penning the next chapter is me, and this time there's nothing covert concealed within the lines. You've listened this far, I'm intrigued. From where are you listening? If you appreciate tales such as this, remember to subscribe and await the subsequent story. Sometimes the most significant turn isn't betrayal, it's realizing that you were stronger than the narrative woven around you. And often, what appears to be the conclusion is merely the truth surfacing at last.